La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah.
If we are not our thoughts, but we are really the one that can observe these thoughts as they come and go. And we spoke about emotional states. So this is something that I think comes up. It comes up a lot with me, and I think with every person I've ever met. We start having an emotion, and then we are encompassed by this emotion. We're identifying with it as us. So I am sad, or I am angry. And then this identification colors the rest of the emotions, the rest of the thoughts, the rest of the state that I'm in at that time. But yet, if we're not our thoughts, then we must not also be our emotions.
That's right.
How can meditation help us to create or see that already existing distance between what we identify as and then us being able to view it from a little bit farther away? And how can that be helpful?
Sure, yeah. Well, in terms of being overwhelmed by your thoughts and your emotions, I think it's clear for most people that thoughts are, either we hear them internally or maybe we see them, and they come and they go. They're like waves and we get caught in them, right? But we also see even in that there's something that's witnessing it, right? So one of the purposes of meditation is to rediscover that inner witness, which then helps us, as you mentioned, see or feel the distance between a thought that we become overwhelmed by and the witness, or the one who witnesses the thoughts. The distance is when there's a gap between the two that is discovered in meditation. When we're absorbed in it, the gap kind of closes, and now we become entirely identified with the thought or the emotion. So meditation can help us take that step back and see that even in your direct experience, you can verify this, that even any emotion, no matter how long it lasts, it will end at some point. Even if it comes again. Same thing for any thought. But what is that thing, that entity, whatever you want to call it, that reality, that is, always present, that's staying, that's present throughout the whole, kind of the ordeal. You mentioned I am sad, or I am angry. You said I am sad. That phrase has I am and sad in it. But I am sad, usually means I am sadness. Sadness is the emphasis. But what if we took a step back and took a look at and even emphasized I am? Right? So I am sad. So I am has been colored by, we colored our I amness, our beingness, by the coloring of sadness. Right? There's a famous saying of the Sufi Imam al-Junayd, one of the early codifiers, if you will, of the science of Islamic spirituality, of Sufism. He's well known for saying that water takes on the color of the cup. That if there was water in this coffee mug, in this coffee cup, it would take on the shape. So water, or the liquid, takes on the shape of the cup. That's what water taking on the color of the cup means. So in a sense, we're actually more the cup than the water, but we identify with the water. The water, or like rather, let me say it like this. If you're the purity of the water and its flexibility and its unconditionality, when it's placed in a container, it takes on the shape of that. So when you say I am sadness, you who were unlimited, you could say, or unconditioned in your existence and in your being, became colored by the sadness. Water takes on the color of the cup. You, your consciousness, becomes colored by the cup of sadness.
So now you think you are the cup instead of
now your
knowing
water has
that
taken
you're the water.
the shape of the yes. But if we step back and see that the nature of this water is pure, transparent, in fact shapeless, colorless, then we return to what we are, our essential being. Right? So meditation helps us feel and verify this experientially more and more. So that may be helpful. It's usually, I'll be honest, not helpful, alone in overcoming, if we're trying to overcome sad states or strong emotional states, to whatever they are. But it's an important step in discovering that your real nature goes beyond that sadness, for example, and is prior to that sadness, transcends that relative condition, that is the emotion or the thinking. What's also needed, I would say, is, and you can call this a form of directed thinking, contemplation, meditation. It would be to cultivate the opposite attitudes, if you want to call it opposite or opposing. Not necessarily. You can simply cultivate those attitudes that point more directly or conform to what you actually are. Right? Let's take, for example, the water again. It being clear and unconditional and formless. What does that evoke? It evokes peacefulness, acceptance, contentment. Isn't it interesting? And even forbearance, patience with whatever occurs. Isn't it interesting that those qualities are spiritual ones? And so they point to your nature already. Cleanliness. So well, we know in Islamic, sacred law that it is the element water that purifies even ritually, let alone physically. So its nature is pure and it purifies. Right? The substance of your spirit is like that. So cultivating these attitudes or these thoughts are simply an expression of your underlying nature, already. So you're not necessarily, my point in this is to demonstrate that you're not just, counterposing or opposing negative emotions with positive ones. You're simply cultivating what you've discovered that you already are. You cultivate that, right? And so that's important to understand.
لا إله إلا الله 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 لا إله إلا الله